Hello, friends. Welcome back to the table. Actually, I feel like I have tried blackberries. I just had some blackberries. Literally have fruit just chilling here. I feel like I have a bunch of stuff in my teeth. I think I'm good. I'm a little shiny today, too. Skin is shiny. Hi, friend. Welcome to A Table for Two with Michaela Bell. A show where personal growth isn't about fixing yourself, it's about meeting the real you. Here we talk mindset, making habits sexy, relationships, faith, friendships, and the small shifts that create a life that feels like home to you. No fluff, no pretending, just honest conversations with your new life coach that help you step into who you were always meant to be. So grab your coffee, take a deep breath, pull up a chair, and let's dive in. Hello, friends. My name is Michaela Bell Dickerson. I'm a certified life coach and the host of this podcast. I'm really excited to talk to you guys today because I am leaving Instagram for a year. And I'm going to share with you guys the reasons why I am getting off of Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. And in case you have also been feeling like maybe I need to take a little bit of a break, you don't have to do it for as long as I plan on doing it. But I think this is going to be a really healthy conversation, whether you want to use social media in a healthier way, you want to have some better boundaries when it comes to your relationship with your phone, and particularly Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I'm just going to share with you guys from my heart some of the things that I've been struggling with and what I plan on doing during the time that I am off of Instagram and the reasons why I'm leaving. Some people say it's like business suicide because, and this is honestly one of the reasons why I've been pushing off this gut feeling that I've been having for honestly, probably almost 2 years now. I've been thinking about doing an extended break from social media. But I keep telling myself, my business is on here. It's the way I stay connected to so many people. There's so many positive things about social media. And I still believe all of those things, but I truly have a gut feeling about it. And I want to get back to trusting myself. So I'm taking some time off. I know so many people have said, why don't you just start with a shorter amount of time, but I don't know what it is, but just a year keeps kind of dropping in my spirit. So I'm going with it and we'll see what happens. But let me share with you guys some of the reasons why I am leaving Instagram. I guess I say Instagram, I mean TikTok, Facebook, all the things, but Instagram is kind of the thing that I feel most addicted to, I guess, if I'm honest. So, but when I say Instagram, I kind of mean social media in general. I still will be producing the podcast. That's actually, I feel like, going to give me a lot of time back to pour into my podcast, to pour into the Bell Collective, which is my coaching community. It's a small, intimate group of women. We have quarterly workshops. They have a private podcast of personal development episodes every single month to hopefully keep them on track, a community page that they can connect to. And I'm really excited to spend more time in there and to connect with them in deeper and deeper ways and to expand what I'm able to offer there. And YouTube. I started a YouTube channel 2 years ago, and I'm going to share with you guys kind of how I'm going to start using that in a little bit of a different way. If we're connected on Instagram and you want to see my family and kind of what I'm doing and some of the behind the scenes of this healing journey that I'm about to go on with myself, YouTube is going to be a really great spot. So subscribe there so that you can kind of stay connected to the fam and me. And also the podcast is going to be a really great way to stay connected. A couple of weeks ago, I got home from a really busy day. I picked up June from Gima's house, who was watching her that day. And I just was so exhausted. I set June up with her little play area. I sat down on the couch and I started scrolling on Instagram. And at one point in time, I don't even know how long I was scrolling because you can lose time so quickly. But I looked up and she was looking at me. But she was looking at me in a way where she was like studying me. And it hit me in that moment of, I wonder how many times my 1-year-old so far in her short time of life has looked at me and saw me on my phone. And if I'm really honest with myself, it's a lot more than I would want that to be true. Like, it is a lot more than I want to admit. And I don't want to spend my life looking down. I want to live my life looking up and looking around me and being where my feet are. I feel like being on Instagram and being on social media as much as I am has taken away my ability to be present. And taken away in the sense that, like, it's not its fault. It's not social media's fault. Like, this is completely my fault. I have total control over this. But I know that when I remove that part, I'm going to be able to prioritize presence so much more. And presence is a huge thing for me. I love the Netflix docuseries called The Last Dance. And it follows Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. Mostly it's a documentary about Michael Jordan. And I loved this one announcer, somebody in the series said that the thing that sets Michael Jordan apart from everyone else wasn't his free throw percentage or his 3-point shot or his quickness or fill in the blank. It was his ability to be 100% wherever he was. It was his ability to be present. In every practice, he was there. In every game, he was right there. He wasn't thinking about a past loss. He wasn't thinking about a past win. He was a fully present person. And I'm kind of butchering it. It was way more powerful the way the guy said it. But I paused the docuseries and it just like hit me. Do you ever hear something and you go, whew? Things hit you because they need to be heard by you. And I knew in that moment I needed to hear that. In fact, I paused it, I rewound it, I listened to it again, I paused it, I wrote it down, and I allowed myself to later on that day sit with it and ask myself, why did this hit so much? What does my intuition know that I need to learn from this? And I know that being present is a struggle for me right now. Combination of ADD, combination of a million things going on in my life. But I know that one of them is that being addicted to my phone and Instagram and not having a healthy relationship there, constantly needing that dopamine hit is part of the problem. And I'm really excited to put that away and to focus on being where my feet are. If you're somebody who's kind of feeling like this too, you know that you want to be more present in your life and you're not, taking a year off, or maybe you'll take a small break. But one thing I would recommend is to ask yourself, am I being present in this moment? How could I be more present to the people that matter the most to me in my life? Because I know that I don't want my sweet little baby girl, both of them, my 14-year-old who's probably learning things and I'm seeing her on her phone way too much. I want my example for them to be a healthy one. And I want to be more present in their lives. So that is number one. I want to live my life looking up, not looking down at my phone. The second reason is I wrote down connecting versus creeping. Let me explain. This is very recent. It was just a couple days ago. A friend of mine popped into my head. And I went onto Instagram and went to her account to look at her stories to check in on her and see what's going on. She recently had a baby and I know she's been posting a lot on her stories. So I kind of went on there and I looked, I'm like, oh, it looks like she's doing really well. The baby's doing great with breastfeeding. The kids, the siblings look like they're just having a blast. And after I did that, I kind of was like, wait a second, this is more so creeping on my friend. This is not connecting with my friend. So I just sent her a voice text. I'm like, hey girl, you've been on my mind. I wanted to see how you're doing, how the baby is, how, you're adjusting to an additional baby in the family. How are the girls doing with everything? How's the hubby? And just kind of checked in with her. And her voice note back to me was, oh my gosh, this meant so much to me. And it's so crazy because I was just talking to my hubby about you and like how cute June is. Da, da, da. And we ended up having this, like, granted, it was, on text, like through audio, but it was connecting with her. I wasn't just creeping on her and feeling like, oh, okay, she's good, but I was actually connecting to her. And she was also able to say, yeah, things are good, but ... and filled me in with some of the things that maybe we're not going to put on social media. So I would encourage you to think about, am I creeping on my friends or am I connecting with them? And how can I actually, instead of just looking at their lives on a screen, how can I connect with them? And that is something that I really, really want to focus on in my time away from Instagram, is like when I don't have that option of DMing my friends on IG or, whatever it is. Even there's a bunch of people in my life, like this one woman I follow, Kaylee, on Instagram, like DMing her and being like, girl, I'm getting off of Instagram, but I need your number. Like, I need to be able to connect with you because I just adore you. And so I feel like it's going to help a lot of my relationships so much, which brings me to the next point. Actually, I'm going to change my numbers here. So my third reason I'm getting off Instagram for an entire year is I actually want to help my brain out. Bear with me for a second. You guys know I love neuroscience. I'm such a dork, and I think it helps me so much to connect logically and like understand the way that things work. So there's something called goal contagion, automatic goal contagion. And what happens is when your brain is seeing other people accomplish goals or do something, there's something unconsciously that happens, this goal contagion, where it's almost like someone else's goals become contagious to our own brain. And our brain goes, oh, I should do that. And it kind of like quickly adopts other people's goals. When you're on social media and you're scrolling and you're seeing your friend launch a podcast, you're seeing your friend launch a business, you're seeing another friend getting into the best shape of her life, and you're scrolling, your brain is wanting to mirror the goals of the people that you're looking at. And what happens is you get a really big dopamine spike because your brain is anticipating a reward. When you have a goal and you like are going to go for it, that anticipation that you're going to get there and you're going to arrive at that goal gives your body this and your brain this like dopamine spike, right? It feels good. But what happens when it's actually not your goal and you're not doing the work, you're not following through with action, is you get a crash in dopamine. And so that's why scrolling kind of feels really good, because you're getting this dopamine. And then you put your phone down and you live your life and you have this crash of your dopamine because you're not doing the things that your brain's unconsciously setting goals for. And so the cool thing about this, the positive part about this goal contagion, is that when you're around people who are doing big things and like maybe they're investing their money and they're wise with their finances, guess what you're probably going to start doing? You're probably going to start investing. You're probably going to start getting better with your money because the people that you're around are, and your brain wants to mirror those same goals. So it's a really cool thing that our brain has, but our brains were not meant to scroll and see what everyone is doing at all times. So you keep scrolling and you don't start the business. You don't buy the flight. You don't get in the best shape of your life. You don't start the podcast. You don't build the habit. There was no follow through because that wasn't your actual goal. And over time, this cycle creates chronic dissatisfaction with your life, low motivation, this almost confusion about what it is that you really want in life, what your actual heart's desire is. And then there's this distorted sense of failure for goals that you never actually had in the first place. And I have been noticing as of late, and this has happened little by little by little by little, is I've started to feel dissatisfied with a bunch of different areas in my life. And I couldn't put my finger on why until I had read this study. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I think it's because of so much of looking around at other people. This could probably be why, the whole comparison is the thief of joy. Probably because of this automatic goal contagion that happens within your brain. And so I want to help my brain out a bit. And I want to get back to trusting my own intuition, making sure that I'm setting goals that are actually my goals, and being really wise about the things that I consume. If this is something that you're like, oh my gosh, mind blown, one thing that we have to be really careful is how many people that we're following. And are the people that we're following the people that we really truly do want to be following? And making sure that you kind of monitor, maybe go through your list of people that you're following and unfollow some things, unfollow some accounts that kind of make you feel a little bit bad about yourself, probably because of what's going on with your brain. Help your brain out. The next reason I'm leaving Instagram is simply because of how much time I spend there. The older that you get, the more that you realize that time is the thing, right? It's the thing that you can't get back. You can make more money. You can change your jobs. There's so much that you can get back, but time is something that you cannot get back. And the older that I get, the more that I'm valuing time. And if I do an audit of my time, which I've done many times, and I would highly recommend, if you've never done this, is to do a time audit. Take a day in your life. A week is probably best, but if that's overwhelming to you, just take a day and write down and just log your time that you spend. And what this helps you to do is to get a really realistic picture of where your time is going. When I look at my life and I look at my goals and some of the things that I actually want to achieve, I need more time to do it. And this is going to be my way of getting back a lot of time. If you're honest with yourself and you looked on your phone, right? I think if you go to settings, screen time. Okay, so if you go to settings and then you scroll down, you're going to see something up there called screen time. So you're going to hit screen time and you can look at your daily average of the amount of time that you're on your phone. And I used to say certain things okay, well, social media is a huge part of my job. And it is. I work full time for a company and I work within social media. I'm creating content all the time. But that is far too long. So you can go ahead and look on your phone and see how much time you are on your phone. You can also look at all the app and website activity. So if you want to see most used, Instagram. I've been on Instagram 43 minutes today. I've been on my text messages for 25 minutes. I've been in my notes for 21. It will break it down to the minute of how long you are on every single app on your phone, which is so crazy. So today I've been on my phone for 2 hours and 5 minutes. That is entirely too long. Entirely too long. There have been times and seasons in my life where that's 5 hours a day that I'm on my phone. It almost feels embarrassing to say, but one of the major reasons I'm getting off of Instagram for an extended period of time is I want my time back. The question is, what do I want to spend my time doing? Which brings me to my next reason is building in-person community again. In February, I hosted an in-person retreat for my Bell Collective women, and there was a couple people outside of the Bell Collective that actually came as well. But it was this reminder to me of one, how incredibly life-giving it is to be in the physical space of people, especially people that are like-minded and in the pursuit of bettering their life. Like, there is nothing more powerful to me than getting like-minded women into a room. It was the feedback that I got from that retreat, like, far exceeded my expectations, but it was so impactful for them to be able to have a retreat that's planned for them. A lot of times as women, like, we go on vacations, but we've planned everything. We booked the flights. We booked all of the reservations. We have the days planned. We go grocery shopping and we do the meal planning. And like, there's so many details that we're consumed by that a vacation doesn't really feel like a vacation. Like, you come home from vacation, you need a vacation from your vacation, right? That is what happens a lot of times with women. And so with this retreat, to be able to give them like this gift of, you just get to show up and you get to experience. Everything is planned for you, every activity. There's also built-in time of like just being quiet and being still and thinking and listening to your own thoughts. There's beautiful activities that help you to be really mindful and engaged within yourself. There's exercises where we're getting to connect with one another. You're being poured into for once. And again, so it reminded me of the power of in-person community, but it also made me really crave more of that in my day-to-day life. Like, I really want to have more of, not events, but like dinners with my friends here at my house, and just like potluck dinners and everyone coming over and just spending time together and hearing one another's voices and being able to hug one another and cry with one another and laugh with one another. And I truly believe that me taking this time off is going to give me the time to be able to rebuild some of my in-person community. Another reason I'm leaving Instagram, this feels very vulnerable. I'm slightly terrified to talk about this one. And I have an episode on this that I'm still not sure exactly if I'm going to release or if I'm going to re-record. I don't know. But I just want to be vulnerable in this. And I know other people are feeling this way, actually, because I've heard that they are. But as a Christian, I have been struggling with my faith. Not so much even struggling with my relationship with God, but I'm really struggling with American Christianity and just feeling so heartbroken. I feel very burdened with what's going on in our country and the lack of compassion and mercy and justice and care that Christians like just don't seem to have anymore. And I've really been struggling. Like, when I go on social media and I see like some of the things that my friends have posted, like pro certain people, and I'm like, what the actual is going on? I come from a pretty conservative Christian family. I wouldn't say necessarily right wing per se. Like my dad is very fiscally conservative, and my extended family, my cousins are like very right wing, it seems. And I have broken out of that. The reason that I did break out of that was because I started studying Jesus. Like, go figure, right? I started studying the rhythms of Jesus's life because I was really interested in having better rhythms in my life. And one of the things I felt like God led me to was like study the rhythms of Jesus. And so I started really studying Jesus and looking at like the New Testament and really looking at and examining his life. And I was like, wait a second, there's almost 2,500 verses, somewhere around there in the Bible, about giving to the poor, helping the sick, helping the needy, giving out of your excess, loving your neighbor. You know, what you do to the least of these is what you do to me. And I started being like, hold on, I need to vote for policies that are more in alignment with this. I need to live. What is it going to look like to lead my own life and stand up for people and vote in the sense of voting for people who have less than me, voting for people that are in need. And I shifted in my politics and in a lot of my beliefs. And I think that this whole election was so disappointing to me. I've seen so many Christians act so un-Christ-like, and it's made me view Christianity differently. It's made me question a lot of things. Like, I've had this question, like, am I wrong? Am I reading wrong about Jesus? Like, and if I am, like, if I'm in the wrong right now, and like, that's Jesus, like the person that you're calling a man of God, like if that's what a man of God is, then like, I don't want to be a part of that. And so there's just been this internal conflict that I've been dealing with and this tension. And every time I go on Instagram, I feel angry. Every time I go onto Facebook, I'm like, WTF. Every time I see a new executive order or something that's going on within the White House or the way that, ICE is acting, I'm like, I get anxious, I get angry, I get like, I have this desire to argue, and it has been feeling so unhealthy for me. And my heart is literally breaking. I have struggled with Christianity before, and I'm not afraid of this. I'm not afraid of like coming to God and questioning things and asking him to help me. But the one thing I always give myself credit for is I usually do go to God about things. Like, I'm not afraid now. I used to be really afraid to be honest with God. I used to be really afraid to like tell him that I'm doubting certain things for fear of, I don't know, him condemning me or just like feeling awful in his presence. But the God that I know is not that. The God that I have come to know is filled with compassion and mercy and knows how to meet me. My relationship with God is one that just feels very much so like a full relationship. Like, I feel very comforted in the presence of God, and I also can feel very convicted in the presence of God. And I feel loved in both of those things. But that took me a long time to get there. So I'm not afraid to go through this struggle and to go through all of these questions with God. And, my husband and I have been having really great conversations with it. And I think it's changed how I've seen people. I've even had to step back in a lot of relationships because people who are like right-wing conservatives have done a lot of damage to me in my life. And so there's a lot of, I don't feel safe with people who have that thought process because I have been hurt by that so freaking much. And I have had to heal from that. And so I have to create space in order for me to feel safe. But one of my goals with being off of Instagram, honestly, is to grow with the help of my therapist and God, but like truly a professional. I want to grow in my tolerance and my capacity for disappointment. And I know that probably sounds weird, but I want my tolerance for disappointment to grow in a really healthy way where I can hold space for people that disappoint me. And all of this with wisdom and discernment, right? I am a big boundaries person. I have to protect my peace and my mental health, and I have to protect my healing, but I want to grow in that where I can be a space for people without judging them. Yes, it disappoints me that you think this way or that we no longer align with our values, but maybe you're like me where you were kind of forced into this perspective, or, you have a controlling husband, or you come from a controlling family, or, whatever, fill in the blank, where you're just you're living your life in the way that you think is best. And yes, it disappoints me, but how can I grow in my capacity to in a healthy way, push that aside and still hold space for compassion for that person? I don't know if I'm making sense, but I'm excited for the work that I'm about to do. This year of being off of Instagram is not about rebellion. It's about a return to peace, a return to purpose, a return to me, a return to God, a return to who God has created me to be. So much of my work in the past, like I've always said that I feel like my work as a coach, as a life coach, is helping people become who they've been created to be, not who they've been conditioned to be. And helping people through the process and coaching them through the process of unlearning what they've been conditioned to be because of society, because of religion, because of, family systems, whatever it might be. And I think that I kind of need to get back to some of that for myself. And so again, this is not about stepping away from a place of rebellion, but rather a place of return to the thing that I know that I need right now. And I feel so excited. There's always like a nervousness that you feel when you know like you're about to stand in front of a mirror, but one that's a little bit more magnified. Like you're really going to be seeing your pores. Like I want to look in front of a magnified mirror, and there's a part of that that's really scary, but more so, and I've gone through enough healing to know that it is always worth it. That process is always worth it. I hope that you feel encouraged, and that maybe either if you've been feeling kind of like, yeah, I do also want to take a step away from Instagram or social media in some capacity, maybe not like for me, which is probably about a year, maybe yours is going to be 30 days or 90 days or whatever it is, or you just want to be healthier about your relationship with social media. I hope this kind of was your sign to really work toward that, whatever that looks like. So in the comments, like, let's be a part of our community here right now in this very moment of let's talk, let's connect. What was an aha moment for you? What stood out? Is there a reason why maybe you feel like you need a break from social? I would just love to be in conversation with you. Thank you so much for either listening on Spotify or Apple. Maybe you're watching this on YouTube. If you are, subscribe, download. If you feel like after listening to a couple or watching a couple, like listening to a couple of episodes, you feel really encouraged, a 5-star review would be so incredibly helpful. Anything where you're downloading, you're interacting, you're subscribing, all of those things help the podcast get pushed out to more people and to be able to share this message in a broader sense. So again, thank you so much for being here. I love you all. Remember that personal growth is not about fixing yourself, but rather finding a deeper version of yourself, a deeper, truer, more aligned version of yourself. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I will see you next week.